Welcome back, foodies and language lovers, to the MA English Cafe. Today, we're combining two of my favorite things, great conversation and delicious food. We're talking about English through food, kitchen phrases, and everyday recipes. Ben, I've been thinking about this all morning. What's your ultimate comfort food? The one meal that always makes you happy?
Oh, Jenny, that's a tough one. If I have to choose just one, it would have to be a big, cheesy lasagna. It's the kind of food that feels like a warm hug. It involves a lot of layering, right? Like you have to prepare the meat sauce, then layer it with pasta sheets and a creamy bechamel sauce. Just talking about it is making me hungry. But the word layering is a great example of a simple verb we use constantly in the kitchen.
That's a perfect start. My comfort food is a classic shepherd's pie. You have to sauté the onions, dice the carrots, and then chop the herbs. Those action verbs, sauté, dice, chop, are fundamental kitchen vocabulary. It's not just about knowing the names of ingredients, it's about knowing the verbs to describe what you do with them.
I completely agree. I once tried to bake a cake for my sister's birthday and completely messed up the recipe because I didn't know the difference between whisking and beating. I spent a good 5 minutes beating the batter with a wooden spoon like I was punishing it when I should have been gently whisking it with a proper whisk to make it light and fluffy. The cake turned out as hard as a brick. That's certainly a funny story about not knowing the right English word.
Oh, Ben. That's a great example of how a small vocabulary mistake can lead to a big kitchen disaster. The cake was probably very dense. And what about different cooking methods? We've talked about baking, but there's also frying, grilling, and roasting. Each one is a key English phrase to describe a specific action. You fry eggs in a pan, you grill a steak on a barbecue, and you roast a chicken in the oven.
And it's so important for our listeners to understand the nuances of these words. You can't say you fry a cake, for example. That would just be strange. And what about kitchen tools? I think my favorite tool is a colander. I love that satisfying sound when you pour a big pot of pasta into it to drain the water.
The humble colander, a perfect example. We also have a spatula for flipping pancakes, a blender for smoothies, and a rolling pin for pastry. These are all part of our daily English routine, even if we don't realize it. For our listeners out there, if you're enjoying this mouth-watering discussion and learning some useful English vocabulary, please hit that like button right now. It really helps us know you're enjoying the content and want more like it.
And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the MA English channel. Join our growing community of English learners and food enthusiasts. We've got so many more helpful English lessons coming your way to help you improve English and boost fluency in every part of your life, even in the kitchen.
So, we've covered some basic verbs and tools. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of cooking instructions and more advanced phrases. Think about a recipe. It's full of simple English phrases that can be used for your English speaking practice. For example, bring the water to a boil, or add a pinch of salt.
Right. A pinch of salt is a great idiom. It's a measure, but not a precise one. You just have to know what it means. And there are so many action verbs we use in recipes. You knead dough for bread. You simmer a sauce on low heat. You mash potatoes to make them smooth.
And what about the final touches? You garnish a dish with fresh parsley, or you drizzle some olive oil over a salad. These little words make your English conversation so much richer, whether you're in the kitchen or just talking about food. It really helps to boost your fluency. I remember once my grandmother asked me to help her in the kitchen, and I was so lost because she was using all these words. It was like I was in a foreign country. So this kind of episode would have been a great English lesson for me.
I can relate to that. My first time making a curry, I was trying to marinate the chicken, but I didn't know what that meant. I just left the chicken in a bowl of spices for about 5 minutes and then started cooking it. Of course, it was completely bland. I should have let it sit for a few hours. That was a big common English mistake on my part, and a big mistake for my dinner.
The food suffered for the lack of English vocabulary. So let's talk about some of the things you find in a recipe that are super useful for English practice. For example, preheat the oven. You have to know that term to avoid burning your food. Or set aside to cool. These are all real English instructions you'll see every day.
They're practical, useful, and they sound so natural in a conversation. Could you set aside the rice to cool? Or I need to preheat the oven before I start. It's great for conversational English.
And a lot of this is also perfect for ESL and EFL learners because it's so visual. You can watch a cooking show in English and see exactly what to chop or to whisk means. It makes English comprehension so much easier when you have that context. It's a great way to study English without it feeling like a chore.
It's a fun way to do English listening practice, too. You can follow along with a recipe in English and try to understand the instructions. I've tried that myself, and it's much more interesting than just listening to a formal lecture.
And that's really what we're all about here at the MA English Cafe, making English learning enjoyable and useful in your everyday life. We've talked about a lot of practical kitchen talk, but let's have some fun with food-related idioms and phrases. These are expressions that don't literally mean what they say, but are so common in real English conversations. Ben, have you ever spilled the beans about a surprise party?
Oh, Jenny, yes. I'm terrible at keeping secrets. I once spilled the beans about a surprise anniversary trip my friend was planning. I just blurted it out. It was so awkward. But that's a perfect example of a phrase that has nothing to do with actual beans. It means to reveal a secret. I've also had times when work was a piece of cake, meaning it was very easy.
Exactly. And we're not talking about dessert. Or what about to have a lot on your plate? This doesn't mean you have a huge meal, but that you have a lot of work or responsibilities. This is crucial for business English, too. You could say, I can't take on that new project. I already have a lot on my plate. It's a very natural English phrase.
That's a great one. And another is to bite off more than you can chew. I definitely did that with my first attempt at making a Thanksgiving dinner. I tried to make everything from scratch and ended up with a small, sad turkey and a lot of takeout containers. I definitely bit off more than I could chew. That was a clear sign I needed to improve my English and my cooking skills.
We've all been there. Food has a powerful way of bringing people together and creating stories. My most memorable meal was a simple pizza I made with my family. We all kneaded the dough, chopped the vegetables, and just laughed and talked the whole time. It was the best memory.
Those are the best memories. Food isn't just about what's on the plate. It's about the people you share it with. It's a huge part of culture and social skills. And understanding the English vocabulary around it helps you connect on a deeper level. We hope you, our listeners, are feeling hungry for both food and more English lessons after this episode.
We truly hope this episode has helped you see how you can learn English vocabulary and English phrases in the most fun, relatable ways. Every trip to the kitchen is an opportunity for English practice.
We would love to hear about your experiences. What's your favorite food, or maybe a funny story from your kitchen in English? Share it with us in the comments below. We're always eager to hear your experiences.
And before you go, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the MA English channel. Your support helps us create more great content for you to learn English with podcast conversation. We'll see you next time at the MA English Cafe.